If we just do a quick tally of what that is going to net us for our team, they're going to have the 12% buff from the Overwatch. They're going to have that 15% multiplicative from Future Initiative when they're at full health. Faraday Field will protect them from shock or disruption as long as they're within 5 meters of my deployed skills. Their reload speed and their skill haste should be improved by 30% and 60% as applicable while they're within 15 meters of one of our deployed skills. These dudes getting up there where my oh dude, are they trying to take out my turret? That's amazing. Oh yeah, this is great. Dude!
Serious trauma.
Wait, is my chick on the wrong fucking side? Come on, man. Hey, what's up, agents? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's hanging in there and being as safe as you guys need to be. Today, I'm bringing you a build that's still pretty much a work in progress, but in a lot of ways, we've figured out some of the cool combinations to really make it work. We're specifically talking about the Hermano backpack with the perfect overclock perk. And as you guys generally know, with perfect perks, they generally add things like 7 seconds to a duration or 5% to a damage. Usually it's not a huge difference between the normal perk and the name version, the perfected version of the perk. Overclock is one of those perks that really changes that paradigm. So we'll get into that in just a second here. But what I wanted to do is talk about the focus on this perfect overclock perk and putting together a variation of it that can be beneficial for endgame play. What we're looking at is how can we use it as a support build for legendary content. So to keep the video short, what we're going to do is we're just going to lay it out very quickly in the little segments. First of all, we'll talk about specialization. I'm going with the Technician. This is for 2 reasons. One is to get the amp that allows us to use either a weapon core or an armor core in one of our pieces of gear. Other reason I want it is for the Faraday Field. Now anybody within 5 meters of our deployed skill, and keep in mind any deployed skill, they're going to take advantage of the overclock perk. They will also be immune to shock and disrupt. So our skills will be performing double duty in this aspect. Next, we'll talk about the gear. Normally I talk about the weapons here, but the weapons is depending on the gear you use. First of all, we are going to use 4 pieces of Future Initiative. We're going to use the mask, the holster, the knees, and the gloves in this application. In a little bit here, I'll talk about some different combinations you can do to change that up. But we're going to be doing the 4 pieces that do not have the talent for Future Initiative. Each one of these is spec'd into repair skill because I am going to be running the Hive to get a lot of benefits. We'll cover that in a moment. Now, of course, we are going to be using the Hermano backpack. This is the new Brazos de Arquebus gear set. So you will get 10% skill haste natively. This rolls naturally as armor core. If you get the roll you want, you can, of course, roll that to skill tier, as we did in our specific application. And now we'll go ahead and talk about overclock versus perfect overclock. And this is the big difference right here. So our overclock perk has a range of 7 meters. You get 25% reload speed bonus. And every second that goes by, every one of your skills will get an additional 0.2 of a second taken off. Effectively a 20% reduction in whatever your effective cooldown is. So now let's compare that to the perfect overclock perk. Our range goes from 7 to 15 meters and allows for much more strategic use, particularly if you're using, like we are, 2 skills that are deployable skills, so you can effectively cover a huge range to allow your team to have these buffs. Now, what is the better buff? Well, like we would expect, we go from 25 to 30% reload speed. However, let us talk about the skill cooldown. This moves us from 0.2 of a second removal every second that passes to 0.6. This is 0.6 of an additional second we get taken off, effectively a 60% reduction to anybody caught in this area of effect. This is where the true value of the perfect overclock comes in. It means that your teammates can stay within the limits of your skills, get that reload speed all the time. Their skills will come back much quicker, and when they do get their skills off of cooldown, because they can be near where a Faraday field is, no matter what, they will be able to deploy said skill. Now, the last piece that we're going to use really depends on what you're going to do. What I'm going to recommend is the Overwatch talent. Now, there's things that we could do to add a little more damage or, healing. You can go with kinetic momentum for both damage and healing. You go with something like empathic resolve, so you can get, in this case, anywhere from 11 to 13% bonus damage to anybody being healed. But we don't want to have to count on them getting healed. We want them to be at full health to get that future initiative. So Overwatch tends to be the best perk because all we have to do is stay in cover, and that means the team will get that bonus. So this is a way to maintain some damage bonus when they're not getting healed and they're not at full health. What that leads into is my favorite chess piece, which would be to use the Ferocious Calm Fenris name chess piece. This comes with the perfect Overwatch. So this will reduce the amount of time that it takes to get that 12% buff from 10 seconds down to 8 seconds. It just means I can get my entire team that buff that much faster. And if I'm using something like the capacitor or any other auto rifle, this will give me bonus to that damage. Now, the downside is mine's only level 30, but you will most likely be using a level 40 version. Now, you may want to use Badger Tough. With the standard Overwatch, it has a little bit longer of a proc time. However, you can use this to buff shotguns like the Lefty or the Scorpio, or insert your favorite shotgun right here. Another option you have is to use something with like Overlords or something like that, where you can get that rifle damage, and maybe you want to use the stage left so that you could proc that perfect sledgehammer and get that bonus damage with your SOCOM M1A. So regardless, you want to choose the chess piece that works best for your play style. And I, of course, am choosing something that's going to buff my weapon damage. That's just the route I want to go. You could, of course, go with something else that buffs, whatever else you may want to have. You may even want to go with another Brazos de Arquebus set, because the second piece will give you +1 skill tier. Theoretically, you could be running with 2 armor cores with this build and still be at skill tier 6. So that's just food for thought there. So that leads into the weapons, and this is just my take on it right now. If I'm running the Fenris, then I'm probably going to run the capacitor for the overall weapon damage I get, and that will also be buffing the turret damage that I will be putting out. If I'm going with the Badger Tough, I'm probably going to go something with the Scorpio so that I can kick a lot of debuffs that way. Or I may go with something like the Lefty Shotgun and use the Perfect Sledgehammer perk to debuff the enemies for my teammates. Or if I want to use the stage left, maybe I'll use Overlords for the rifle damage. Maybe you have some other weapon you want to use. Use whatever you want in this piece. Just try to get a roll with Overwatch and the best stats you can. Next, we'll have to talk about the skills. You can use any deployable skill, but we are, for the support purposes, going with the Restorer Hive to keep the team at maximum health and keep us rocking and rolling, keeping that a future initiative ground control buff rocking as much as possible. And we are also going to be going with the assault turret. This will allow us 2 deployable skills, and this will allow us to cover a huge amount of the battlefield with the reload speed as well as that skill cooldown buff. If we just do a quick tally of what that is going to net us for our team, they're going to have the 12% buff from the Overwatch. They're going to have that 15% multiplicative from Future Initiative when they're at full health. Faraday Field will protect them from shock or disruption as long as they're within 5 meters of my deployed skills. Their reload speed and their skill haste should be improved by 30% and 60% as applicable while they're within 15 meters of one of our deployed skills. We can use the Scorpio if we want to proc a 1.2 times multiplier to enemies for our teammates. And if we really want to get trick with the new Perfect Sledgehammer perks, we can get a 1.4 times multiplier on a group of enemies. And if you are using an EMP grenade, it has a very large radius of effect, so this can be a very viable option. Some other quick combinations that I recommend trying and that we're going to play with in the future. Like I said, guys, this is just my opinion of some decent combinations that work right now. And this will, of course, improve as we get chances to play with this a bit more and find out any combos that really work better than others. But some other combos that you may want to try. You may want to try running something like the Future Initiative chest piece to get a 1.25 multiplier to everybody in your team, along with the Coyote's mask to buff everybody's crit hit chance, crit hit damage, or both. You may want to go with the Future Initiative chest piece for that bonus damage again and swap out for BTSU gloves. This will buff the Hive cooldown duration as well as give you the ability to overcharge your team once every 2 minutes. Now another option would be to simply swap out the chest piece so you lose that bonus damage from Overwatch but pop in Tardigrade, and this will give basically everybody else a second life every minute or so. And last, talking about the weapons, I just want to talk, I think the best 2 combos you could run would be something like the Scorpio along with the Stage Left for Perfect Sledgehammer. That will give you both buffs, the debuffs rather, from the Scorpio Septic Shock as well as the Stage Left Perfect Sledgehammer. Or in my case, running with the Ferocious Calm Fenris, I go with the Capacitor to maximize my damage from my weapon as well as the damage from my turret. And then I run with the Lefty Shotgun, and this allows me to, before we start doing any damage of ourselves, if there's a group of enemies, we can have the Lefty toss an EMP grenade. That will give the debuff. Then I can switch to the Capacitor and start ramping up my stacks. So those are the basic ideas we're looking at right now with this new Perfect Overclock perk. And we now, mixing that with the Perfect Overwatch. So we got the Perfect Watch Clock build. I don't know if that works. That kind of sounds dumb. The Perfect Clock Watch, the Perfect Watch Clock. I don't know. Somebody come up with a name. Anyway, it seems to be a really nice combination of perks. And as you guys have probably seen in the background, this is totally effective in a lot of the legendary content. Anyway, thank you so much for checking this out, agents. Do me a favor, on the way out of here, smash that like button. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. If you can think of anything that you would do differently to add something more to this build, please leave a comment down below. Y'all be as safe as you need to be out there, and I will catch you, agents, in the Dark Zone. Peace out, everybody. Yep, all right, we're down to the last 3 dudes. And time.